The following presentation is
What's that? Non-Canadian Blaine Damien is sick. Probably he got an illness because he lives in Canada with a bunch of filthy, gross people. And it's Monday. It's the final day of the long weekend. And he spent his long weekend in bed sick with a fever. What's that? Yeah, that's right. I'm not feeling too great, but I'm still going to make this video. I like making videos. It's something I enjoy doing, so we're just going to get right into it. Alright, so this is 10 things that AEW Fight Forever 2, whenever it releases. Could be next year, because it's not coming in a couple of months, a couple of years, whatever. These are 10 things that the game needs, and I'm going to do this in order of priority. What that means is, number one, the first thing I say, I think that should be the most important. And then going all the way up to 10, not so important, but still something that I think it might need that I would like to see. So let's get into this. I'm dizzy. Number one is way more characters. You need to get more wrestlers in the game. With the deluxe edition that they're coming out, I think they said something like 60 plus wrestlers, right? You can play as 60 plus wrestlers. You ever seen the AEW roster on AEW.com? They have such an overloaded roster. There's so many wrestlers on there. I'm not saying you got to include all of them, but what I am saying is the fact that Brian Cage was in the game at launch and Tony Storm wasn't should be a violation of health and safety. So yes, on launch, we need way more wrestlers, way more characters. Number two, an actual create a wrestler. This is the worst thing about the game, in my opinion, right now. The worst thing about Fight Forever, the fact that they don't have an actual create a wrestler, like an actual, where you can customize the face and the parts of the face and the parts of the body. It is very limited what they have, and it was an embarrassment to even open up to create a wrestler, because you can't make a wrestler that actually looks like anybody else. You can't actually make a wrestler that looks like other wrestlers. You can make them look like very specific people with, you get one clothing item and one tattoo, and there's 7 different faces to choose from. It's terrible, so they need to scrap that for the second game. Get an actual creative wrestler in there. I don't know how it came to this. A lot of video games these days just have a custom character maker. This has existed for decades. Number 3 is full entrances. One of the most underrated parts of wrestling video games for me is the entrances. I hardly ever skip them when I'm playing a WWE game or whatever, because I really appreciate it. They make it look like how it looks on TV. For me, when it comes to wrestling games, the closer they can make something look like what I'm seeing on TV, the more enjoyable of an experience I have. And the entrances are picture perfect. So sometimes I just like to, if I'm playing a match or something, I'll just put down the controller and I'll just watch the entrances, because it's amazing what they've been able to do. And I wish that happened with Fight Forever. Of course I wanted to see a full Kenny Omega entrance or a full Orange Cassidy entrance. Alright, that would have been awesome. Number 4 is a showcase mode. WWE games usually every year have a showcase mode, whether it's John Cena, Daniel Bryan. I don't know, they might have had a Rey Mysterio one for 2K22. I forget. Either way, there's usually a story mode that takes you through the history of someone or something, like the Attitude Era. They'll take the real footage that they have and kind of blend it with the game footage, and it looks really cool. So, I'm thinking if AEW Fight Forever, they got to have a showcase mode, right? So I'm thinking Inner Circle is one of them, right? Tell the tale of the Inner Circle. I mean, it would be a little bit hard because Santana is no longer with AEW, so maybe you don't do that. Maybe just do the Elite, right? You do the Elite storyline for those first, 4 years or whatever with Kenny and the Bucks and Hangman. But I think that's something that has worked really well with WWE games that AEW could really benefit from, because we're all nostalgic towards the old AEW. So using the footage from years ago and sort of reliving these storylines, I think that'd be great. Number 5, keep Stadium Stampede. I did not say this was a top 10 things that Fight Forever needs to add or needs to change. I just said these are 10 things that Fight Forever needs. And I think Stadium Stampede, that game mode really did it for me. I think that one really worked for me. I thought it was really cool. That's the game mode I played out of more than anything else. Although I do think it could be changed. I mean, why have a 30-man battle royal when you could have a 5-on-5 elimination, like an actual Stadium Stampede? Either way, I think it's a great game mode that they got to keep for Fight Forever 2. Number 6, you got to have all the arenas / shows. So basically, Dynamite, Collision, Rampage, all the pay-per-view sets and stages. You gotta have all of those in the game. It's very limited what they have right now. They have like 7 at launch, and then they added a couple new ones, but even those don't exist as actual AEW like pay-per-views or stages. I don't know what they're doing. Like they're just making up stages and just, you know, putting them as DLC. When what you could have is just, you know, those couple of Dynamite sets. You could have the All Out, All In, you know, that kind of thing. Number 7, more than 4-player matches. Listen, I get it. You want to make it an arcade style, you know, 1 to 4 players, just like the olden days. But at the end of the day, this is 2024, so I think we've moved past that a little bit. Plus, I don't think the next game should be an arcade style game. And if it is, you know, even still, who says that you need to limit yourself at 4 players or 4 CPUs? I mean, if you only want to make the game 4 players, at least add, you know, have the ability to have 8 wrestlers on screen at the same time. At least do that. Even if you don't want to, you know, make the game 8 players, you know, you should at least do, or 6 even, right? So 6, maybe 8 wrestlers at one time in the ring. Number 8, a longer campaign mode. I finished the campaign mode in like a day, and it was kind of really nothing, right? You could pick a wrestler, or you could pick one of the ones that you created. You know, there's no voice lines, there's no voice acting, a bunch of random stuff happens in the game. I don't know if it's different on every playthrough. I think I became tag team champions with Christian Cage, and then I went on to main event like All Out or something, but I was still the tag team champion, but nothing ever came of that story. It was weird. It was a really weird like campaign mode. So I think if they worked harder on that, you know, expanded it, I think it would be a lot better. I think, you know, career modes in sports games tend to, you know, work out. This one didn't do it for me, but, you know, the next one, you know, again, make it just a longer campaign mode. Number 9, keep the season passes, but improve it. You know, every game these days have season passes. Right, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If you want more content, more DLC content, as you know, as long as it doesn't change, you know, give the player an advantage, I don't see anything wrong with that. If you want skins or something, you know, collectibles, whatever, of course, get the season pass. I have no issue with that. Problem is, this one, you know, for AEW, it didn't really work out because they were putting in like actual wrestlers that are just in like AEW, just like on the base roster. You know, they weren't special or unique or anything like that, and they were putting in stages and stuff. It's just stuff nobody really cares about, right? But if you want to do like different skins of wrestlers in the season pass or something like that, you know what I mean? Like Painmaker Chris Jericho, The Cleaner Kenny Omega, right? John Moxley, you know, Eye Patch John Moxley, you know? Like you want to put stuff like that in the season pass, that's fine, you know? Or like, you know, customizable, like for the creative wrestler, you can put a bunch of creative wrestler stuff in the season pass. Right, that's fine. So I'm okay with the season passes. Just improve it. That's all I'm saying. And number 10, I know you're not going to care about this, but I care about it. I don't know why. I just do. It's an aesthetic thing that I like. Number 10 is to have a Mortal Kombat style roster. So the old WWE, I mean not the old WWE games, but like those WWE games kind of in the late 2000s, early 2010s type of thing. They had that style of roster where you had the heads in the squares, and you could kind of pick it just like a Mortal Kombat game, right? Like a fighting game. That really works for me. I don't know why. Just having like a visual of seeing all the faces, and then you have like a locked symbol. But then when you lock a character, it's kind of open and it's free and you can see the head. I think that's just like nostalgia or whatever, like from my childhood. But I love when games have that. I love a good, you know, fighting game style roster. I love it. Now, the newer WWE games don't have that, right? It's just a list of names. I hate that. Doesn't work for me. Fight Forever, you could switch between a list of names and heads in the squares. That was okay for me, but again, if their goal was an arcade-style fighting game, you know, arcade-style wrestling game, why not have the Mortal Kombat style roster, right? That's something that would look pretty cool to me, I think. Like I said, I've seen a lot of fan-made ones, and I like those way better. I don't know, that's it. Oh, okay, I'm done the video. I'm done. Good night, that's it. I'm done. I've finished. I'm going back to bed.